Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Adelante Progressive Caucus. My name is Colton Dean, the chair, and tonight we have our four candidates for state party chair for the Democratic Party in New Mexico. Um, for this evening, how we will do this is I'll make a brief statement. Then we'll have each candidate give a 5-minute introduction, and then after that we'll do Q&A. We'll limit the answers to 2 minutes. I'll be timing. I'll be when we come close on the time, I'll just kind of raise my hand. If you need to finish your point, that's fine. But I will start to wag my finger if we cross over that time, since we have so many candidates, so many guests, and probably a lot of questions. And so just to start, I just want to say a few things. I know none of us are happy with what's going on the national level. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in that. But I want to remind everyone at how well New Mexico did. New Mexico did deliver for Harris. New Mexico, full federal delegation, both our senators, all three of our state reps or congressional representatives are Democratic. We have Democratic majorities in the state legislature. The major cities have Democratic majorities. We're doing very well. And so what I hope and what I feel progressives hope from the next Democratic chair is a focus on how to improve upon that and not get caught up in the federal issues, which frankly, we can't do anything for another year and a half to 3.5 years. So we'll go ahead and open with introductions. I figure we'll start with reverse alphabetical. So we'll start with Mr. Weathers, then Ms. Montoya, Ms. Enriquez, and then Ms. Adelson. And then we'll just kind of go back and forth, windshield wiper style. So Mr. Weathers, if you're present.
Yes, sir. Is this just the introduction or the beginning of the 5 minutes?
This is the 5-minute introduction for you to tell us who you are, why you're running, your hopes for the party, etc.
Thank you, Colton. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and your caucus. The reason that I'm running is I feel the Democratic Party needs to stay united and that we need to make sure that we don't become an urban party. We need to make sure that we engage with the rural counties. I think that a lot can be done to make sure that we have a unified body. My style of leadership starts from my younger years when I was in the military for 8 years. I believe in getting the job done, mission accomplished. We need to make sure that we finish up with it, whatever we start. We've had a changing of the demographics, and I understand in your comments, that we did do well, but the fact is that we are losing my demographic, which is the male Hispanic rural voter. We have to make sure that we have the chair that can reach out and speak to the folks whom we're losing to the Republican Party. I feel that I'm that candidate. I'm 63 years old. I wasn't raised with texting and emailing and all these other social platforms. I was raised where you talk to folks. You actually call them up, you talk with them. And I think that benefits us in the fact that I can reach across the fence. I could shake a hand. I could explain and talk to folks and tell them, hey, come back home, come back to the Democratic Party. We can be a full, complete party that represents every single demographic, every single race, every single gender, and I believe I'm the gentleman who can stand up and do that type of work. I I've been impassioned. I served as Mora County chairman for 12 years. I served it with dignity and honor. I've reached out. Some people call me the sign king. I've probably put up more signs for Democratic candidates than pretty much a lot of people that I know. I've flipped more hamburgers. I've done massive outreaches. I have I presently am the chair of the Northern Area Workforce Development Board. That's a Workforce Innovation Act money from Department of Labor. In that role, I've served as where we service adult, youth, dislocated worker, development disabled, and veterans. I've been able to reach out to youth, and bring them in and enroll them as participants. Youth are my passion, I'll be honest with you, because that's where we start at. We have to make sure that we can get them the best training, the best education, everything that we can do. That's how we grow our nation, is making sure that we have our youth engaged. That's how we grow our party. I'm also presently the county manager of Mora County, New Mexico. I believe the skills that I've learned there, I can transcend into Democratic chair. I mean, when you run an entire county, it's budgetary, it's leadership, it's a lot to do. I want to serve as the Democratic chairman of New Mexico. I'd appreciate everyone's consideration, and I just like to give kudos to all the other candidates who are running, because it's nice to see so many candidates, and I wish everyone the best. I'm Joseph Weathers, and I'd like to be your next Democratic chairman of the state of New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weathers. We did have some requests. If you can turn your camera on, just so we can get it's okay if some of us are in our evening wear, it's okay.
I'm not sure if it's working well. I'm actually in Cloudcroft at a manager's retreat, so my service is not that strong.
Looks good. So
All
thank you
right,
very
sir.
much.
All righty.
All right, Ms. Montoya, you are next.
Hello, everybody. And I just want to let you all know that I really thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. And I really understand like what your caucus is all about, which is very important because we need you right now with what's going on within our government system. And so I'd like to first let everybody know a little bit about myself. I've spent over 30 years in business and public service. I am the chief operation officer, both Neville Advisors, and we had another company called Assure Financial Group, which was an investment company. So I understand stocks, bonds, mutual funds. So what's going on right now with the stock market, I've already lived this several times. So where I work, I work with a budget, I do compliance, operations, marketing, and community outreach already. I also have a strong background in cybersecurity, human resources, and I work with government contracts, especially supporting small and veteran-owned small businesses. I've helped build systems that work, created systematic partnerships, and always made sure that I delivered real results. Outside of my business, I serve as the vice chair, CD3, of the Democratic Party for the last 2 years. So I've worked the groundwork, seeing what's going on, and I understand. Also, I am very active with the VFW. My husband is a veteran. He's a disabled veteran. He's got exposed to a chemical when he was in the military. So he is like, right now he's scared because our first experience of him getting sick, we lost everything the first round. So we came back and started a second company. Our first company we sold to Wachovia, and Wachovia sold it to Wells Fargo. So he had to go with each of those companies for 5 years. But the thing is, after we retired, we didn't expect that he was going to get sick. So we lost everything because we had to pay bills. And so we started our other company, which is Nebula Advisor. And so we do government contracts, and we did land our first federal contract, which is really a really good feeling to know that all the work that we did paid off. When I graduated from high school, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went to college, and my strength is math. So I got my degree in math and a minor in computer science. As I was working on my second degree in biology, I was going to go to medical school and specialize in gene therapy. But what happened is I did an internship in Guadalajara for a semester, and I realized that that wasn't my direction anymore. So that's when I got involved in politics. So I'm close to a second degree. I just needed biochemistry for my biology degree, but I did get my master's degree in education, youth at risk, which I feel that was the best education I could have ever gotten, that degree, because it opened up my eyes to even look to see what's going on in our educational system. I believe that I believe honestly that work is very important to see what a person does for a living. With a strong leadership skill that I have, I and my experience, I can lift up the community, and I understand what's going on right now, because I just was on the phone today with, he's a commissioner from another county, and he's actually told me if things don't change, he's going to change his party to Republican. And the thing is that people are just getting really frustrated what's going on, because our our Democratic Party is so fragmented, because we have people that are saying they're they're liberals, they're moderates, and they're conservatives. That's not what my party is made up. It's all, when I got involved in politics, I was just a little girl, and I understood from my father that politics and the Democratic Party is a party for the people, the working class people, the blue collar people, the unions. And that's what I was taught. And so my goal is to bring our party back to that philosophy and make sure that we all treat each other with respect and dignity, because we're all in it together, and we need to stay strong now. And I thank you so very much. And I ask for your vote for Leticia Montoya to be your next chair of the state party. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montoya. Ms. Enriquez, you are next.
Thank you, Chair Dean. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. First off, thank you, Adelante Progressive Caucus, for hosting this forum. It's imperative that we get to understand who might be our leadership in the coming years. My name is Marisol Enriquez. I am running for Democratic Party of New Mexico chair. As many of the candidates, as a couple of the candidates, only two candidates before me have mentioned, we have some fragmentation in our party. And I understand that we as Democrats on the whole have missed key communities. We have missed, like Mr. Weathers said, some of the Hispanic community, we've lost some of our youth, and we've lost a lot of the working class. We missed that messaging to the folks who are struggling every single day to put food on the table. We missed them. So we need to recapture them, bring them back into the fold. And the way that I think we need to do that is through healing. I think we need to be nurturing relationships and building strong coalitions with other groups, aligned groups, people who are feeling left out. And I think then we need to reinvigorate the party. I do also believe, as Chair Dean mentioned earlier, that we need to be focusing on New Mexico. What can we do here in our communities to ensure that when Donald Trump and his cronies come to us, we are ready to stand up and fight? He's not prepared for who New Mexicans are. We have ganas, which is guts. We will stand firm in our communities, and we will fight back hand in hand. I know that, and I believe that our underlying values really will be what saves us. I feel I'm qualified for this role. I know I'm qualified for this role. I am serving currently as the Bernalillo County Democratic Party Chair. I've got a few days left in that role. The role of County Party Chair includes ensuring the work that Democrats Democrats elected is achieved. In 2024, we met that goal. As Jardine mentioned, our federal delegation is Democratic. The majority of our House is Democratic, of our legislature is Democratic, and we can continue to do that work. We did that work, importantly. The biggest county of the state, which is responsible for 1/3 of the voting population, shouldn't just be focused solely on Bernalillo County. It should be, because we have a great responsibility to the rest of the state, should be focused on other communities. And in my role as Democratic Party Chair in Bernalillo County, I have already begun doing that work. Throughout my tenure, we have increased outreach to other county parties to create support for the parties that were feeling left behind, especially in our rural counties. I do know that the responsibility of the chair, the primary responsibility of the chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, is to fundraise. As much as we do not want that to be the case, money makes an operation go, an organization go. I was very lucky to be invited as one of the candidates to participate in the DPNM budget planning process for the next year. And I was the only candidate that showed up to participate through the 2 days. We have to understand as chairs that responsibility, that responsibility of taking on fundraising starts with understanding how the organization works. In my past history, I was and served for many years as a corporate finance budget analyst. So I have extensive understanding of how to operate a budget, how to prepare for it, and it was over a $13 million budget that I managed. I know how to improve efficiencies. I work to create systems and procedures and use technology to do those things. I am a small business owner. I understand that keeping our economy strong in New Mexico is imperative to keeping us healthy. I am a native of New Mexico. I was raised in southern rural New Mexico, and I've lived in Albuquerque though since 1997. I know that connecting our beautiful communities to make up our state is important, and supporting them in culturally competent ways is even more so. The way that I do things is to go into a community, to a rural county, and say, hey, you guys, tell me what works for you. How can we help uplift you? So I know that it takes people of all perspectives, all backgrounds, all talents and beliefs to make our state thrive. And I know that together we can fight. We are unstoppable as New Mexicans, and I'm ready to do that job just as I have been doing as county party chair in Bernalillo to keep this county blue. Ready to take that to the state level. Thank you so much, Adelante Caucus, for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez. Ms. Adelson, you are next.
Thank you, Chair Dean, and thank you, Adelante. And I want to thank the candidates that are here who have stepped up to run. It's a lot of work. You're going across the state, crisscrossing the state, making phone calls, being put under a microscope and judged. So thank you all for stepping up. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. I was asked to run several months ago by several Dems that I truly, truly respect. And I kind of put it in the back of my mind and thought, you know, it was there, but I had just retired after 47 years of being a public school librarian. And I thought 47 years of service to the state of New Mexico, I needed maybe a break. But I decided the day after our general election in November, when we all woke up with that pit in our stomach, I decided that day that, okay, I'm going to run. Because I looked at a map of the state of New Mexico to see how we performed. Yes, we were blue. Yes, we delivered. But looking at the different counties, we are trending purple. We cannot get any less blue. And especially like we've all said, Trump is coming after us and we have to be ready. And we cannot lose any more points towards the other side. So that's when I decided to run. I'm running to unify the party of New Mexico. I just think it's time. I have traveled to so far 22 counties. And as a union organizer, I have been doing one thing that organizers do. The only thing we do is we listen, listening to their concerns. And it's not good. They feel disenfranchised, they feel ignored, they feel not supported. And we cannot have fragmentation in this state. Now more than ever, we have to be united. We are a rural state. Yeah, we have Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and Las Cruces, but the majority of our counties are rural. We must be united. And so that's one of the reasons I'm running, to unite the party and to return the party back to its roots, that of the working class. I come from the labor movement, and I come from the grassroots communities that have supported Democrats for decades. Little bit about me. My father was an Air Force veteran, and I grew up in a military family. And this taught me resilience, adaptability, to appreciate diversity, not to fear diversity like some of the folks in DC are a little afraid of diversity. I believe it's a strength. And above all, I learned selfless service. I could have gone anywhere after I graduated from high school in Germany, any of the 50 states. I intentionally picked New Mexico to come. I attended school at New Mexico State in Las Cruces, and I have stayed here ever since. And I think it's the best choice I ever made. I registered as a Democrat the moment I was eligible, and I've never regretted that. For 17 years, I served as the Albuquerque Teachers Federation chair of the Committee on Political Education. ATF is the largest local union in the state. And I have to say, I was proud to lead my union in our political work. I raised hundreds and thousands of dollars to elect pro-labor candidates. I didn't just fundraise, I organized volunteers, I mobilized efforts, and I made sure we always got across the finish line. My most recent win as co-chair was I raised $40,000 to flip a seat in the Albuquerque Public School Board of Education. We unseated a Moms for Liberty that was anti-everything. Thank you. Yeah. And it was hard work. I was on the West Side 7 days a week for 6 weeks, but I'm very proud of that work. And as a win-win, we put in the first Native American to ever serve on the APS Board of Education, Ronalda Tomorhito. So that was my most current venture as co-chair. I have fundraised to the extent that our party needs to operate. I did not attend the DPNM workshop. I had notified them that it was a big conflict. I'd already committed to Southeast counties, Roswell, and several other counties to attend their meetings. So I did not attend the 3-day workshop. But then I did tell Ray Ellen Smith, you know, I've been on the executive council of my union for 17 years, where every June we sat down and we built a budget larger than the DPNM budget.
That's time.
Okay.
If you want to finish your thought.
I am ready to go. I have the background as an organizer. I have the set skills. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you all for your introductions. We will now go to questions. The board of Adelante will have first dibs on questions, but I want to make sure everyone else knows how to raise their hand. Go to the reactions tab on your lower and hit raise hand. That's the best way that I can keep track of who's in the queue. I'll take the first question, then our vice chair, and then our board members that are present, and then we'll go to the general membership. My first question is, as having been a member of the SCC and County Central Committee, I've participated in the rules and platform and resolutions process, but not always do our elected Democrats follow the rules, platforms and resolutions that we pass. With this being a democratic state, if we find that our elected representatives that we support, that we put in office, are not following our values that are reflected in the platforms and resolutions, or following those, would you continue to support them? And if we aren't willing to withdraw support from elected representatives who do not follow our values, then what is the purpose of having an organized party? We'll start with Ms. Adelson and go in alphabetical order. 2 minutes.
Sure. I think that's very easy. My union had, as political chair, 17 years ago, I developed a report card for our endorsed candidates, and we followed it. And I'm here to say that sometimes we did not always endorse candidates, or we called them in. The family paid leave, we did not endorse several of the folks that voted against that. We just said, we can't endorse you. This affects, impacts our families that we teach. And so we did not endorse. It upsets some folks, but we have to stick with our values. And our values are, we are a union who supports the working class and working families. So we did not hesitate not to endorse. Didn't make some folks happy, but they flunked the report card.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez?
Thank
2
you.
minutes.
Thank you, Chair Dean. Okay, yes, I agree. We've had some big challenges, but I think this is not going to be an easy task. I think this is going to be hard. The reason is that I feel like our caucuses, including Adelante Progressive Caucus, our Black Caucus, our Fuerzas Unidas Caucus, our Hispanic Caucus, all the caucuses we have as external arms of the party have not been empowered to actually take on these messages, these issues, these communities that you are advocating for. We need to be able to, as a party, yes, honor our impartiality in Democratic candidate support, but our caucuses can do the other work too, right? There's nothing saying that you can't put out report cards. In fact, we should be helping to provide, to give you the opportunities and to give you the pathways to be able to influence policy, to get people on board who are going to be elected and advocating the things that you find as issues and that are important for the people of New Mexico. That is a big miss that we have done. Secondly, this conversation always comes back to money and donors. And while I do know that the chair responsibility is to fundraise, and I would take that very seriously, the important thing that we are not doing is diversifying our efforts to do so. If we can diversify and offer opportunities like money investment, or asking our SCC members as a primary responsibility to help us, then we rely less on those big donor dollars and we are less beholden to those folks. So I think it lies in the empowering caucuses and pulling a little bit away from the requirement or the loyalty to particular donors.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya?
Yes. Can you read the question one more time again?
In a nutshell, if our elected Democratic representatives do not follow our platform and resolutions that we on the SCC and CCCs put forth, would you continue to support them as a party leader, or would you be willing to withdraw support to remind them that they get into office because of the support of the party?
That is, for me, that is a real concern. I've seen it too, when you pass resolutions and change in a SEC or a committee, that should mean something. what we can just ignore, and that will be a body, you know, somebody not following the rules. If I'm the chair, I'll make sure that a clear process is tracked and followed up with every rule and resolutions or platform. From that past, I will be a leader of a committee or go against what was approved, because you know it seems to be that when we don't follow rules, and you see the rules, you see the outcome of what happens within the rules. Because if we don't keep a public log or pass items so members know what is going on, giving regular updates to the SEC, calling for accountability, and refusing to follow the direction of the party, this is something that I will not tolerate. I will make sure that we are accountable and we make sure that people do follow these rules, because that's the reason why they're in place, is that we need to follow them. And if we don't, then we have to come up with a plan to to tell that person, you know, you did something wrong, and put them on a probation period. And then if they do it again, then we have to let them go. So we have to be stern on this stuff. We cannot play games no more, because we're in a tough situation right now in our Democratic Party. So for me, rules are very important, and being a compliance officer, I follow rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weathers.
Well, thank you for the question. I do understand that the party, you know, we do make rules, and we would hope that our elected officials would abide by them. But we also have to take into account that these elected officials are accountable to the voters and the voters of their district. So take into consideration, okay, they didn't follow a rule, but they represent their communities and their districts very strongly, and they bring home results to them. So are we going to withdraw our endorsement, or are we going to withdraw support for them when they are actually being strong legislators? I think we'd have to look into that and see. One of the as Miss Adelson talked about is the family medical leave. What happened when folks crossed the aisle, worked with Republicans? I think it was 13 of them that got primaried. The voters took care of that. Not everyone got reelected. So I think we have to leave a lot of that up to the voters. Yes, I believe that rules should be followed, but we also need to take in consideration what the voters of the districts that elect those representatives, senators, or state officials deem. Thank you.
All right, so next question from our Vice Chair, Scotty Romberg.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and helping us learn more about you in this forum. As a Democratic leader, as a leader of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, you have a responsibility to be in touch with the Democratic leadership around the state, as well as your responsibility to raise money for the party and to be involved with DNC leadership, attend meetings out of state. That's a lot of responsibility for one person. How do you plan to delegate some of those responsibilities with the rest of the executive board?
Start with Mr. Weathers and go reverse alphabetical. You have 2 minutes.
I think that one would have to delegate down to the vice chair, the secretary, the treasurer, and it would have to be a shared responsibility. Because as you state, one person can't do it all. But when you work as a team, teamwork is dream work. Thank you.
Ms. Montoya, you
Yes,
have 2 minutes.
that's what I do right now with my company, is that since I'm the chief operation officer, I can't do everything. So my team, we meet weekly, and we go over our plan for the week. And then as we go through our plan, at the end of the week, we meet again, and we analyze what we've done. And if we haven't accomplished our tasks, so then we know that we have to go into our following week when we regroup again to show that, okay, so let's divvy this up because they weren't able to accomplish it because we gave them a little too much. So for me, as a leader, we delegate as a team. So we must meet weekly. We must talk about what our plan is for that week. That means if we're gonna raise money, it's gonna be all of us raising money, because that's one of my biggest concerns right now, is because from my financial background, is that with the market doing what it's doing, how are we going to come up with the finances to fund the party and to help the county? So it's always a team. It's always, for me, it's always a team in order to get the message out and to work also with our chairs of the 33 counties. So we'll all be in it together.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez?
Thank you so much. I will definitely, yes, agree and acknowledge the things that candidate Weathers and candidate Montoya have said. Collaboration and teamwork is key. I am currently in my last semester of my degree, and I am taking 18 credit hours. I am also working as the chair of the Democratic Party of Bernalillo County, which is the largest county in the state and has unforeseen challenges and unexpected challenges that other counties do not and could not understand. And I'm running this campaign, and I understand that it seems like a lot, but I sit here 6 weeks and a couple of days away from achieving my degree. In a few days, I will no longer be the chair, and I'm ready to get started as the Democratic Party of New Mexico chair. Collaboration is key. Leading a volunteer organization like the Bernalillo County Party is very challenging, but at the state party level, I wish to think about expanding some of the roles. Our current vice chair, we could expand the roles and capabilities and support for that particular position so that it is a way to help succeed the next chair. I think that reassessing and helping expand responsibilities across the staff is a good way to do that and create that outreach. It will, my mentor used to say, many hands make light work, and I believe that. In an organization this big and an organization this far, we need to be relying on other folks to help us achieve the goals of the entire state party. It shouldn't all be resting on the chair. And so delegation, but collaboration and teamwork is a real key component to making that work.
Thank you. Ms. Adelson?
Thank you. Leadership is about delegating. That's the main part of being a leader. I was thinking when I heard that question, I thought of former President Biden, who accomplished a lot in 4 years. And he delegated. He found the experts. He found the groups. He found the teams to get the work done. I chaired for 17 years the large political committee for the teachers union. We delegated, we had teams, we had subcommittees. And right now, as I travel throughout the state of New Mexico, I am meeting people who are experts on all kinds of things, fundraising, policy, rules. And I'm taking names, and we are going to use our talent right here in the state of New Mexico to build our party. Collaboration is huge, and teamwork, of course, is all part of collaboration. A leader cannot lead by themselves. They must have support and people that will support the goals, the final goal. So yes, leadership is all about delegating, and we must. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Fay, do you have a question?
One thing sort of as a voter, I've noticed is a lot of times there's kind of this I feel transactionally treated in this sort of transactional manner. And what I mean by that is everyone around election day, everyone comes out wanting my vote. And maybe on the off season, they want my money. And that, in a way, that kind of hurts. So do you see some way of changing DPNM. So as a voter, I wouldn't feel that way.
Thank you for that question. We'll start with Ms. Adelson, go in alphabetical order.
Just read on the DPNM webpage, they just posted a national program, No Talk Without Action, and I'm reading it. I haven't finished it all, but I think the essence of this plan is exactly how I feel. You come and ask me for my vote every 2 years, every 4 years, whatever it is, and then I don't see you again. The wonderful thing about the No Talk Without Action is it's all year long. We engage our voters. We don't just come for asking for money during election time. We don't just show up during election time. We build those relationships all year long. So I think if you haven't looked at the No Talk Without Action plan, I think it's a great plan. And I think it answers that your question. I only see you when you need something. This is where we build relationships, and I think this is how we'll win and grow and get our strength. So I totally support the No Talk Without Action plan.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez?
Thank you. I agree. The No Talk Without Action plan has a lot of good things in it. I think I appreciate you asking this question, Daniel, because it is something that I hear all the time from voters, from communities, my neighbors, and also people who are constantly just receiving emails and texts about donations, right? It feels very transactional and not relational at all. The thing that I saw in our county party right after the election, and have been seeing this for a while, was the need to actually get into community efforts and make it a community effort driven organization. So for example, in December, we organized a team to come together. We got t-shirts for the Democratic Party, Bernalillo Dems, and we participated in feeding some of our unsheltered folks pre-holiday meals with some other organizations. We also solicited help for the New Mexico Coalition of Homelessness point in time count, volunteers to get training and to go out and do that, because these are necessary community efforts where people can see Democrats doing and living the values that we stand for. In rural communities, sometimes this is the only way to get out into and make connections and relationships with other Democrats, especially in areas where they're primarily Republican and sometimes a little bit fearful of actually saying, hey, I'm a Democrat. They can come out, connect with folks on a human basis, and then move forward with aligned shared values in a way that impacts the communities in the way that we want to see that. So in real life community efforts, on the ground, doing and living and breathing what we are, who we are as Democrats.
Thank you so much, Ms. Montoya.
Hi, that is a very important question because that's asked to me all the time throughout the state. And, they're like, an election comes, you're all gone. And I was like, you know what? When I'm in office, the election is never going to be gone. It's going to continue on. So we're going to still continue on working. What we're going to do too is that in order to motivate people in the different counties, because what do we do? Well, let's have like group events. Let's do like what we used to do in the past, where we'd have barbecues. We'd have annual barbecues in each county. And there's some counties that are still doing that. But the thing is that we have to still stay engaged with everybody within our community. But also, I do agree with you about the fundraising. Even after the election was over, we were still getting text messages, emails, and I know that they need to pay off their debt, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay off anybody's debt for anybody that it's past the fact. And if you overspent, you need to finish paying off your own debt. But for me, in our own state, what I like to do, because I'm just basing everything back to what's going on right now in the real world with our financial breakdown with what's going on with the stock market, is that it's going to be a little bit harder to raise money because people are holding on to onto their money. And I see it as a contractor for the city, is that people are not going out as much, not shopping. So that scares me. So I was thinking what I'd like to do. I know people want to donate, but a lot of people cannot donate like big old, like what they had at the legislation dinner, $500 a plate. No, we got to come back to basic reality. Is that I was thinking maybe 40 cents a day for 30 days, $12. Ask everybody as Democrats, can you contribute $12 a month until we get through this crisis? Because I just don't want to nickel and dime any of the Democrats in our state, because right now we're in a crisis. So I think we need to start thinking out of the box in order to fix these problems. But I do agree with you on everything that you said, is that people just vanish. And I'm telling you right now, this is what I'm hearing in every county. So we must fix this. This is a must.
Thank you so much. Mr. Weathers.
Thank you for the question.
Almost like he's hiding.
Excuse me?
You look like you're hiding.
Mr. Weathers, do you have a light that you can turn on?
Um,
It's getting kind of dark where you're at,
okay.
and I'll start your time over.
I mean, we really would like to see your face, Mr. Weathers. I mean, that's important for some of us, I guess.
Is this better, ma'am?
There we go.
There
Very
you
nice.
go. Thank you.
All righty. I'm in a hotel room and I'm trying to find the best place to sit and have an angle. So thank you for the question. I'm going to tell you what I have done in practice as a county chair. What we election, it is, you do hear that from voters, exactly what you said, that is you only come around when it's election time. You only visit with us when it's election time. You only ask for money. When Deb Haaland was the Democratic chair, she really activated the Act Blue. She had folks signing up for $10 a month. It becomes a practice that you're supporting your party for $10 a month. And if you have a lot of people doing that, of course, that helps fundraise. So it has to become a practice that we continue to reach out and ask for fundraising efforts. As Democratic chair, what I've done is I've brought my elected officials, and I've had basically town halls, and I'll invite folks to come visit with Senator Campos, to come visit with Representative Joseph Sanchez. That way, if there's questions, there's concerns, they have that opportunity to speak to their elected leader. This is when you break bread, when you can offer these folks, a donut or a cookie, and you're able there to break bread and actually have a real life conversation with your elected official, it makes a big difference. And that's what I have done in practice. We do have our quarterly meetings of the state party. Those meetings have to be held in every section of the state. They can't be just held in Albuquerque. We have to make sure that we reach out to Las Vegas, that we're in Silver City. We have to make sure we change the venue of those quarterly meetings. That way voters feel that they're engaged. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Ms. Trujillo Fay, do you have a question?
Thank you, Colton. Thank you, candidates, for coming to Adelante. My name is Carol Trujillo Fay, and I am the CD1 representative for the Adelante Progressive Caucus. And this is my question. So, on reflecting on Tuesday's amazing victory in Wisconsin, Wisconsinites overwhelmingly voted for Susan Crawford, even though Elon Musk poured millions of dollars into the race, and it was the most expensive judicial race in United States history. a lot of this victory and the gathering together of resources, especially human capital, was overseen by Ben Winkler. He was the runner-up for the National Party chair, and he is the current Democratic chair of the state. With that in mind, what do you think the leadership of the Wisconsin Democratic Party did to contribute to this victory? What things did the leadership of the party do to bring that victory for Susan Crawford, despite the millions of dollars that Elon Musk poured in? And from those good practices and strategies, how would you use that in New Mexico to make the party stronger? Thank you.
And now we'll go in reverse alphabetical. Mr. Weathers, you have 2 minutes.
I do believe that there was to my numbers that I understand, there was $98 million raised. Elon Musk was $25 million of that. I'm not really familiar. I did not follow the race that closely, but from what I was understanding last night, this was a massive organization from the Democratic Party. They made sure that they reached out and they let them know the dangers of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and they took advantage of that, and they made sure that united as Democrats, that I'm sure they had to have brought in liberals and unaffiliated voters. So there must have been a massive outreach to not only Democratic voters, but voters from other parties. I think in New Mexico, that's something that must be done. We tend to say, oh, we're gonna reach out to the Democratic voters, but we can only reach out to the Democratic voters. There are going to be some disenfranchised Republicans that voted for Donald Trump, but pocketbook issues are going to make them understand that that was a wrong vote. We have the unaffiliated voters, we have our liberal voters, and we have to make sure that we have an outreach that affects all voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya?
Yes, I do agree with JD is that one of my friends that is a Republican, but she's a moderate Republican. And so we talked like 2 days ago, and she explained to me that, they understand that government needs to be cleaned up. And the way that Donald Trump did his move is like, for me as a business owner, I already know that I cannot do that. I have to go in there, I have to do an audit before I could do any form of changes. So so the thing is that the Republicans that are the moderate Republicans are mad at him because now he's hurting people. So I'm going to tell you right now is that if it was something that was taking place in my state, I would do a massive mail out to everybody. I don't care what your party affiliation is. I don't care. I just want to get you to understand that this is the problem that was going to happen. And the thing, this race was super important because if we would have had the Republican come in, he would have jerry-rigged because they're working on redistricting areas. So this would have caused a big problem for us. But the nice thing about it is that the vote came out and she won. So now the redistricting, when they go back into when it all starts back up in the court and all that stuff with the Supreme Court, now we're going to see something totally different. So my thing right now is that what happened in Wisconsin is we got to do it in the state of New Mexico. Whenever we come into an issue like that, we target everybody. And like I said, my friend told me that us moderate Republicans are supporting you Democrats because we do not want them to hurt people. That was not why we got him elected. We did not want to hurt anybody. So we are going to back you. And did you see what happened in Florida? We almost won. We almost. So that's telling you that if we outreach more to people, thank you.
Ms. Enriquez?
Thank you, Chair Dean. Yes, I agree. We need to bring others into the fold. I think that's the only way. I don't exactly know the ways in which Wisconsin did this outreach. However, as a chair in the biggest county in New Mexico, I have reached out to other big counties that share population size to help understand best practices from them and start to implement them in our county as well. Because I do think that we need to learn from others who have achieved success. Additionally, it is important to make those coalitions with other parties, perhaps. There are lots of smaller parties that share our values and share our morals and are aligned in so many ways. For example, in Bernalillo County, I have made good relationships with our Working Families Party and with our Raza Unida Party. I have good, strong relationships with both of those leaderships teams, and I think that we can work together to bring and lift each other up in the face of these fascist sort of attempts that are coming our way. And I do think that that's one of the most important ways that we can actually build our grassroots, connect, bridge, build and nurture those relationships, and then uplift and overturn some of those biggest efforts that are coming down to squash us. As I said before, in New Mexico, we are strong. We understand threats that are coming our way, and we can stand up and fight together. And we typically do when it's important to all of us. We do. We get up, we stand up, and we fight back. I hope that answers the question, Carol.
Thank you, Ms. Adelson.
Yes, Ben Winkler is a born organizer. That's what he's done for years. I heard him say, you know, Wisconsin got off the mat and fought back. And I think right now there are Dems throughout this country that are wanting to step up and use this time to not be silent. And the Wisconsin Democratic Party mobilized thousands and thousands of Democrats who are concerned about becoming an oligarchy. They're concerned about what's coming at them. And I think this was the first litmus test of Dems standing up and fighting back and saying, no, we do not accept fascism. We don't accept an election bought by a billionaire. We're going to mobilize and we're going to get out on the streets. And that's exactly what they did. They fought back. And I think this was a great litmus test showing us that we are ready. We're ready in New Mexico. We're ready in Wisconsin. We're ready in the other 50 states. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Courtney Cricket, do you have a question?
Yes, first I want to say thank you to all our candidates for spending this time with us so we can get to know you a bit better. I am the CD2 chair for Adelante, and over the last couple of years, I've been on the SCC, and there's been contention between our paid staff and leadership. As you come into office, how will you work successfully with the paid staff that we have?
Thank you. Let's start with Ms. Adelson and go alphabetical.
Thank you, Cricket. I'm asked that as I travel throughout the state. We all have seen the drama and the fragmentation and the internal fighting. How would I handle it? Well, you know, I really think it's time that Democrats stop eating their own. We need to focus our energy on building the party and fighting back. And we can't do it when we spend all of our time and energy. How would I address this? We sit down and we have a problem. We cannot let it go on any longer. We have to be united. Yes, we all have differences. We're a family. There are differences in families. it's going to happen. But this has gone on to such an extent that it's just gotten out of hand. And it is a waste of energy. Our energy needs to be spent on growing our party, strengthening the party, and fighting back. So I would sit down with the staff and we would collaborate, come up with a solution, and it's a new leadership. So maybe that would change. I just think it's time that they understand that it's not doing the party any good. It's a major disservice to the party. This infighting, it's unnecessary, and we can't have it. It shouldn't be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you. Great question, Cricket. Yeah, we're feeling this, right? We all see these emails flying back and forth, throwing baseless claims at folks, and who knows, right? We don't need to know. These kind of personnel issues should be handled in-house. And whether that means the staff at DPNM are union organized, so they should be reaching to their union organized, their representatives, to help them navigate these situations. And if they can't figure that out at that level, then the party needs to pay for some human resources contracting, because these are imperative. We cannot handle these situations in-house. We will not be able to unite folks on the whole. Additionally, I want to speak to the paid staff situation. Paid staff involved in the rules committee is probably not the best thing to have. I do think that our rules committee tends to create rules from the top down rather than going into the county parties and saying, how can the rules be impacted, modified, customized to assist your efforts as the county party chairs, because you are the grassroots of the party. We need to make sure that you're supported at any and all level, whether that means shifting things based on population, et cetera, whatever that needs to happen, whatever needs to happen for the county parties to succeed. I don't think that's happening right now. This infighting is really problematic, and what it's doing actually is creating, it's the way that oppressors work to keep the oppressed from actually rising up and fighting back. They kind of create these little infighting bits and pieces, and then everybody just spends their energy fighting each other instead of fighting who the actual enemy or oppressor is. And if we can utilize the tools available, then we will be able to heal these rifts.
Thank you, Ms. Montoya.
Okay. So one of the questions was about the paid staff being on the rules committee. The answer for me is no. They will not be on the rules committee because they're actually an employee of the state party. So that's answered. So then what I would do, working with the staff members, because I own a company, so I have staff and I work with them, is that what happens for me, I have an employee handbook because I believe in policies and procedures. So as I would go into, as being chair,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I would look at, thank you. I would look to see first, do you have one? Second, if you don't, okay, I can develop one for our organization. And when you go into a policy and procedure handbook, it breaks it down from their job title, responsibilities, dress code, even with cell phones. And so, I mean, it keeps everybody in line, and that's including me too. Because what happens is as I get a new employee in, I hand them a handbook, I ask them to read it. And if they agree upon all the rules and everything, their job title, everything in there, they sign it. So now it's a document. So now I have a document that if they don't follow the rules, so that I protect myself and I protect them. So if I do something wrong, they could bring up the rules, they could bring up the employee handbook and say, you did something wrong. So it's a two-way street always. And that's why I retain my employees. My employees stay with me because we know what our job is. We work as a team. We, like I say, we meet regularly, and they know they know firsthand once they start their job. So that's how I handle it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Weathers.
I'm extremely disappointed in this infighting that's been going on between our current vice chair and the executive director. I've actually called on Ms. Velasquez, Chair Velasquez, to put an end to it. This isn't benefiting anyone. It seems this is an ugly situation. Dealing with the paid staff, the paid staff should be accountable to the executive director. Any direction that the elected officers would have should go through the executive director. As Letitia spoke, there has to be an employee handbook. There has to be grievance procedures. There should be an ability for an employee, labor union, thank you, to be able to air their grievances. I'm not familiar with what our employee handbooks are, but I would make sure that a grievance procedure is part of that. And again, I call out to our executive director, and I would ask him to cease and desist this immature behavior. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going on to general questions. We are running up against the clock. I want to make sure everyone at least gets their question in. So I'm going to ask the candidates to limit their answers to 1 minute. This will be posted on YouTube once it's done. If there are any further questions or comments, I would invite everyone to go to the YouTube channel, place the questions in the chat, and I would hope the candidates check in on that occasionally to respond if there are any further issues. So starting from the top, Stacy Foils, you have a question.
Yes, my question, can you hear me? Okay. My question is this, that I worked for the campaign doing precinct walking since I moved here 3 years ago. And I was just given stuff to hand out to Democrats. And I just thought, this is the stupidest thing we could have mailed these, because they didn't tell me talking points. They didn't give me any advice on what are our big issues and how to address questions. And I also thought that it shouldn't just be that we were talking to Democrats. I thought we should have had more town halls, and everybody should be invited, because I think that we lose the point when we're talking Democrats or Republicans. And the point is to address the needs of the community. So I thought those, how would you address the needs of the community and not, and given some of them are in rural areas, some of them are millionaires in Santa Fe, and some of them are working people in Albuquerque.
Going reverse alphabetical, Mr. Weathers, you have 1 minute.
Thank you for the question. I believe in the presidential elections, what's happened in past election is that they've been running coordinated campaigns from with the presidential candidates campaign with local campaigns. That does not work. That may work in the urban areas, but it doesn't work in the rural areas. I believe that we have to use all the different venues available to us to reach out to the voters. If it's mail that we need to do, yes, a lot of folks like you to go out, knock on their door. And one thing that the rural areas like are signs. That's how you get your candidate's name out there. That's how you get your party to victory. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya?
Yes,
1 minute.
this is super important. Okay, so I've heard this quite a bit. So the biggest thing is that I like to do research. So I went onto the Republicans' website to see exactly what are they doing that we're not doing. And a lot of it is they're training. They're doing constant training. And that means training to where, and that's what I do in my own company is we do training because we want to make sure that our employees are sharp and they know what they're talking about because it can make or break a deal. So that's how I see us talking to people in rural areas. We need to know the issues before we even go into that rural area. And on top of that, we don't go into the rural area unless we're with the county that represents them. So then they'll give us the ground rules. They'll explain what's going on. They'll tell you that you may get a person that might be a little irate, how to handle it. Because I think everything is based upon training. Once we keep on training people, it's not going to be scary. And then, oh, sorry. Thank you.
Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you. Really great question. There are multiple ways to outreach to people depending on their needs, right? So for example, doing door knocking in rural communities for me, oftentimes folks have felt really grateful that someone comes to their door and takes time and energy to actually go have a conversation with them. We did at the Bernalillo County, for last year at the Bernalillo County Party, we hosted something called Confident Canvassing, which was a 3-module training program, which helped people understand how to begin doing door knocking and canvassing during non-election times, so that they're actually going and creating relationships year round with the folks who are their neighbors and who they will eventually want to ask for votes, right? Or to even bring participation to. Mailers are good in rural counties too. Phone calls are effective and signs are definitely effective. And we're seeing the increase in that method of stating who I am, right? With the blue dot movement around the country.
Ms. Adelson.
Sure, I come from the labor movement, and my canvassing for decades has been union household to union household, where we knock on doors of Greens, Dems, Rs, independents, declined estates, because we talk about issues and we share the same issues, whether we're a Democrat or a Republican or a Green. We have concerns about Social Security, our pensions, collective bargaining. So that has been that's when you canvass around the issues, it doesn't matter who you're speaking to, what party. We all have those concerns. So that's where my experience comes from. That's my universe.
Thank you. Bernadette Vaduro, you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much to Adelante. All right, great job, great forum. Mine is kind of a two-part question. This is at the Progressive Caucus. And I've heard a couple of the candidates that are running describe themselves as more moderate Democrats. And so the first question is basically, what are the issues that you are not on the edge with? We have so many important issues. And also, you can have all the money in the world, as we saw. The Democrats had all this money, but we didn't have message. What's your message, your overall message that's going to pull the state together? This is a really tough one, and this is where the rubber meets the road. And I know we're short on time, but we need a message that really, in Santa Fe County, our message is Democrats working for you. We have T-shirts that say that. We work for you, so that people understand that. Thank you for the opportunity to ask the question. Chair Dean, you've done an outstanding job.
Thank you. And I know it was a two-part question, but we'll go alphabetical order. 1 minute, Ms. Adelson.
Okay, I'll try to answer it. I believe that our message should be the Democratic Party is the party of the working class. I recently heard that the Democratic Party did not create the labor movement. The labor movement created the Democratic Party. And we've gotten away from our working class roots, and we have to bring them back. We have to talk about Social Security, our pensions, the right, Trump just did away with collective bargaining with federal employees. We have to stay strong and protect our working class values, which are the same values as the Democratic Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you. Great question. I think that the labels, progressive, moderate, whatever, in this chair capacity, those don't mean anything. The chair needs to be able to represent Democrats across and underneath the entire umbrella on the spectrum of who we are. I think a lot of that is that we can message coming back to our values. A lot of times, and as Sarah said, the working class was missed. And we do sometimes a pretty bad job of kind of making fun of folks who maybe aren't progressive enough. And we need to stop that because it comes across as elitist and it does not bring the message back to what struggles are happening in New Mexico households. If the working class is the key identity, I should say, the identity to target, I will be glad to say that I share that I'm endorsed by the building and construction trades. These are guys and women who are on the front lines and are working gig to gig to try to make ends meet. I have built those relationships. I work with these guys and I'm ready to fight for everybody who is worried about putting food on the table. I don't know about messaging,
Okay,
but I love
that's
Democrats
time.
work for you.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya.
Yes, that's a good question because you know what? When it comes to labeling people, just like you say, homeless, unhoused, poor, rich, that is a bad word because you know what? For me, I grew up as a Democrat. I was born a Democrat because when you're raised in a Democratic household, you know what you're going to be. You're going to sign that paper as a Democrat. And the thing is, I learned the values of what it meant to be a Democrat at 5 years old when my dad would say, okay, Tish, come on, it's time to go to the Carpenters Union. We're going to make some signs because we're going to picket today. And I'd say, Dad, what is picketing? And he'd explain to me. So I was always with him. My dad taught me how to work hard, how to not say no, but always to remember to give your hand out to people that need you. And that's what a Democrat is, someone that puts their hands out when somebody needs us and help. And that I'm not seeing right now with our party. Our party right now, our hands are like this. That's how I see it. So when I become chair, we are going to be a party of the people, work for the people, all people in general. I don't care, poor, rich, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weathers. Mr. Weathers?
Yes, sir. One of my proudest achievements as Democratic chair of Mora County was that we elected 4 women to the school board. The school board had always been all men. I believe I'm the one that might be being identified as a moderate candidate. There's no labels in the Democratic Party. Whether we all have to work together. As far as a slogan, my slogan would be, let's go. Let's go, Democrats.
Thank you. Laura Lucero, you have a question.
Thank you, Colton, and thank you for this great forum. This is very, very helpful. Yeah, given the time, and I want to hear the rest of the speakers who are asking questions. I'm going to post in the chat, and I'm hoping everybody will have a chance to link to it and read it at a later date. This is an article that was published today by Norman Solomon with the Roots Action about where the, I guess to summarize, the progressive part of our party has failed. And so I'm not even going to summarize the article. I'll just ask each of you to read it. But to make my question short, what is the role of the next chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico with the DNC and the National Party?
Going in
What's the
reverse.
connection between the two?
In reverse alphabetical order, Mr. Weathers. 1 minute.
the state party has to work with the with the National Democratic Party. But in that case, we also have to make sure that we take care of New Mexico values. So my point is, we do have to work with the National Democratic Party, but we have to make sure that we don't get lost because we're a small state. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montoya.
Yes, they work hand in hand. So like for me to tell you is like what I will do for the state, the chairs, same role would happen with the DNC is that they'll oversee all of us. They'll tell us what we're gonna have to do. They give us the tools and then we're supposed to spread the word. So pretty much we work hand in hand in order to make candidates win. If we do not do that, then you'll see candidates lose. So their goal is that they need to keep us in contact with what's going on, and we need to keep everybody else in our state in contact of what they're telling us. So that means that the chairs will relay the messages down to the SEC, and SEC will have to send the message out to the CC members. So it's a triple effect. So we all work together as a team. Like I say, it's all about team leadership.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you for this question, Laura. In my one of the reasons that I attended the DPNM budget planning process was to learn more about dynamics like this. I did learn that the DNC doesn't really care about New Mexico. We have 5 electoral votes. They want to kind of like push us off to the side. So I think that gives us a really unique opportunity to do what we need to do here in New Mexico. We need to fight back. We need to say, no, if this whole thing is not working for us, we're going to do what we need to do in New Mexico to make sure that we stay a leader in the nation. We have so many amazing Democrats have worked for years in New Mexico, and we're not done. We can be a leader for the nation as long as we don't consider ourselves beholden to the DNC. I think we'll utilize them as we need to. We will be able to advocate for New Mexico. We'll need to advocate for New Mexico with the DNC, but I think for the most part, operationally, we can do what we need to do. We have a unique opportunity to stand on our own, fight back, and do what New Mexicans require.
Thank you. Ms. Adelson.
Yes, I am not running for chair of the DNC. I'm running for chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico. And New Mexico is my priority. And I mean that we will get Dems elected up and down the ballot. There will be no uncontested races anywhere in the state. We are going to focus on getting Dems elected and stay bright blue. That's New Mexico's my priority.
Thank you. Next question is from Christina Delatorre.
Having trouble getting my camera to work.
That's fine.
Okay. So my question is this: as chair of the Fuerzas Unidas caucus, which aims to empower Hispanos in New Mexico, I would like to know if DPNM would focus on having a more visible presence down here in the southern half of the state, which often feels very neglected. And how would you aim to reach the impoverished communities who feel that their votes don't matter?
Going alphabetical, Ms. Adelson, 1 minute.
It's a great question. I have made it a goal to travel through every county in the state of New Mexico. And as chair, I will continue to travel all over the state. I've been in Las Cruces. I'm going back soon. And, I think I'm kind of patterning my being a chair with Deb Haaland, who when she was chair, she campaigned and visited every county. And then she didn't just stop after she was elected. She went back over and over and over again. I think we have a responsibility to support and be there. And I will be there. That's my plan. That's what I've been doing. And that's what I will continue to do.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you so much. This is a great question. I'm from southern New Mexico. I grew up understanding the inequities between the northern part of the state and the southern part of the state. This is very, very deep in my roots. I am in Las Cruces often to visit family because all my family lives there. So I won't have a problem investing in those communities down, especially around Las Cruces in Doñana County. And we must remember too, that it is not solely Doñana County. It consists of Otero County, etc. As Bernalillo County Chair, I took that very seriously. What we did when Doñana County did not have a chair is we shared resources with Doñana County. This past election cycle, we created phone banks to outreach to Otero and Doñana County to help get Sarah Silva elected, because we knew that their Otero County party was suspended and not operable, and we did what we could to assist and flip that seat. I absolutely, Southern New Mexico is my heart, it's my home, and I have no problems spending time there and investing in all of the communities surrounding, especially our Hispano communities.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya.
Hi, okay. So that's a really good question because that was brought up to my attention today. I was talking to an individual that's in the southern part of our state, and they're actually a county commissioner. And so they addressed that issue because they brought up an example of Hidalgo County. What happened is the two counties, the counties are surrounding Hidalgo. They came in, they've helped find a chair, vice chair. They were going to get a treasurer, and so what happened is that the party never fell through in training. So Hidalgo went poof away. So that is a big problem, that when we say we're going to do something, we need to stand, you need to keep us firm and say, you said you're going to do that. You got to keep me in line. If I promise something, you make sure I do it, because this is why we're losing counties, is because we are not honoring our commitment to a county that needs us. So we have to spend a lot of times in all these counties, because I'm telling you, a lot of them are really broken, and they want to develop a Democratic Party, but they don't have the resources.
Time.
Thank you.
Mr. Weathers.
Yes, sir. I visited Chaparral, New Mexico, and folks said, nobody's ever come down here. Nobody ever comes down here. We need to invest our time, effort, and money into the southern part of the state. The 3rd Congressional District is a hardly fought district. We have to make sure that we direct our resources, and that we make sure and that we keep that seat blue. So the South would be, and the Hispanic community, I am a Hispanic, Chicano, I would make sure that I stay engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick point of order. It came to my attention there's someone who's having trouble with Zoom. I believe maybe their question has been addressed, but I'm just going to ask it real quick. What are your plans to bring in and heal those counties that were disenfranchised from our party, and be specific? If elected to a state party chair, would you commit to supporting the Democratic Party in those counties that are red? Help those counties support Democratic candidates at all levels against the GOP. I feel like maybe those have been addressed. If they haven't, if that person will please signal in the chat, and we'll address it directly. At the moment, we'll go to Patty French, former chair of this caucus. Your question?
Yes, I have a question. As you know, our children are our future, and something that has just
Patty, are you there?
upset me, and I stay upset about it, which is the governor. Yeah, can you
Patty,
can't
you're
hear
cutting
me?
out. You're cutting out for a second. Can you start from the top?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I was saying was something that has really bothered me is what happened in Florida, and I'm afraid it might happen here, where Ron DeSantis started banning books. Really got to me was where he had the school board pass a rule that teachers had to say that there was an upside to being a slave, that we learned trades. And so, all this is being done through the schools. So I want to know from all of you, what have you done and what do you plan on doing to make sure that we get the right people elected to these school boards so something like that doesn't happen here in New Mexico? Because being a Black woman telling me that there's upsides to being a slave just is more than I can take.
Mr. Weathers, you have 1 minute.
As I expressed in one of the earlier questions, I fought hard to make sure that we elected 4 women to our school board, that we changed the atmosphere, because you know what? Who knows better than that mother, that nurturer, that sister, that aunt, what our students need? So I would continue to advocate for school boards to be representative of their communities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Montoya, you have 1
Yes.
minute.
Patty, that's a good question, because there is an organization in Santa Fe County that's trying to ban school books. And for me, school books are so important because the history, we can't forget the history that just passed. We got to build from it to that we don't repeat it. So books are so important. I love to read. I love to research. And you know what? If there wasn't a book for me, I think I would cry, because people don't understand that history cannot be erased and it must not be erased. So I will make sure that these candidates, if they ask for my opinion in a county to go in there and to interview these candidates that are running, I will do it, because you know what? If they believe in getting rid of books, they're not the right choice. We need to keep candidates in school boards that believe in reading and keeping up with current affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez.
Thank you. Great question, Patty. I think leading in these situations requires cultural competence and understanding the history of the ways in which different communities really have been impacted. The ludicrous idea that Black Americans were benefiting from slavery it's appalling. It has happened in other communities as well, our Latino Chicano communities. It has happened in these communities too, so it's very near and dear to my heart. This is my degree, Chicana and Chicano Studies, and it is under threat under Donald Trump's administration. I think working with unions, like the teachers union, for example, in the areas that are facing these struggles is really a great idea to come together to combat and prevent these kind of seats from taking hold, these people from taking hold in these seats. This is just un-American. It is also completely backward, and I will not stand for it myself. I will show up and I will rally and I will bring people with me to rally as much as possible against these kind of attempts.
Ms. Adelson.
Darn, I have just a minute. I'm a retired school librarian, 47 years. The last library I worked at, I had a banned book section where kids read banned books. And they would come and say, why was this book banned? And I would say, well, there are some adults that just don't want you to read this book. They didn't know I was kind of tricking them into reading some really great literature. My passion for 17 years on the COPE committee was to get candidates elected to the Board of Education that supported public education and supported democracy and supported labor. I did that for 17 years. The other night, I ran into the president of my former union, Ellen Bernstein, and I said, oh, I have some members that want to run for school board. I have some names. And I said, oh, I'm no longer your COPE chair. And she said, I will always thank you, are my co-chair, and I will always appreciate names. So we've got some good names coming. We want to get rid of the anti-public educators board members, and we have some. Thank you.
So just, we are at 8:04. I would like to address the one question that's still with the person with their hand up, and to follow up on the question that was in the chat, and then we'll end it from there. And everyone's welcome to stay. We're gonna go into overtime. As a union person, I love overtime. Ms. Terry and Barbara, your question.
Hi, everybody. This is Terry speaking. My sister Barbara's with me. I have a couple of questions. One of them is, I think this is a huge job and it takes a lot of time. I would like to know how much time you are able to commit to this party. It's critical. It's going to require, I think it's a full-time job. And I want to know who is able to give this position the time that it requires to straighten this ship, to put it in the right place. Because if it's going to be a dabble here, part-time there, I don't think we will be successful. Part two, I am an optimist. I see the glass half full instead of half empty. Yes, we're being attacked by Trump and all of his BS. Personally, I think it's an opportunity for us to put the message together so that the people that didn't hear the message before, because it maybe wasn't the best message, this is the time for us to put forth our message to pull the people in, because many people's lives are going to be impacted and destroyed by the policies of Don Chump 47 and Muskrat president. That, pardon for the comments there, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. But this is the time for us to go after the people that are going to be negatively impacted, and they already are. They're already saying, I feel betrayed. I feel I voted for him because I thought he was going to be good for our country, good for us. And people are now saying, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen. How do we capitalize and put the message out so that the people that voted for him thinking it was going to be better, how do we get the message to them that, yeah, you know what, it wasn't better and we have a better solution for you? What are you, A, going to commit to this position? And two, how are you going to put that message out so that we can capitalize on his bad message and win over not only us, but the Republican voters?
Thank you. Ms. Adelson, you have 1 minute.
Yes, I am retired, as I said, after 47 years of being a public school educator. I have the time to lead. This will be a full-time job for me. I have no other job. I have all the degrees I want. I'm not going to go to medical school. I'm not planning to go to law school. This is a full-time commitment that I am stepping into proudly. And I believe we need to strike while the iron's hot. When I run into neighbors saying, I didn't know it was my Social Security, well, we've got to get those people, and we do have to together work on our message. Not I told you so, but we need to get them while the iron is hot. And I think it's burning. So that's my, I have time to lead.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez, 1 minute.
Thank you so much for this question. I will refer to the law school thing. Before I decided and deliberated very strongly with my family and with partners and with trusted mentors, I absolutely intended to go to law school. But after deliberating and seeing what we're up against, I realized this is not the time to do that. I will be, like I said before, I'm about 6 weeks away from achieving my bachelor's degree in Chicano and Chicano studies with a minor in economics. So I see what's happening. I also, in a few days, will no longer be the county chair for Bernalillo County Party, and sometimes that requires 40 to 60 hours a week. This means that in 6 weeks, all of my commitments thus far will be freed up, and I will have absolutely all the time in the world to invest in our communities. This is the most important job. It is a full-time job, and anybody running for this position should absolutely not treat it as a full-time job, and sometimes even more. This is the most important thing threatening us at this time is this fascist attempt to overtake who we are as New Mexicans, and we've got to invest the time.
Thank you. Ms. Montoya, 1 minute.
Yes, Patty and Terry, I like the questions that you're bringing forth because we do need a full-time chair. But the only way you're going to do that is that we need to say, okay, within 100 days, what is the plan? So the plan would be to go in there and look to see what is going wrong. If nothing's going wrong, then we don't do nothing. But there is something going wrong because like I said, when I researched our website, why are we only open 10 hours a week? That there should be someone there full time. So that's an issue for me. So that's why when a mouse is away, when the boss is away, a mouse will play. So that's the thing is you need to be active. You need to be engaged with your employees, with your staff, just to make sure that everything's taking place. Because if it's not taking place inside, it's not going to be taking place in either of the counties. So that is one key issue. And the message, yes, the message is key. And you know what? I had a meeting with a group of young people and we talked about that. And they brought it to my attention because I didn't know, because I've been a registered voter for such a long time. So they're targeting the youth. Okay, thank you.
If you want to finish your thought real quick.
Okay, yeah. And
just
the
real
thing
quick.
is, okay, the Republican Party is hitting everybody right as we talk on the TV, on TikTok, emails, everything. And we got to start doing that too.
Thank you. Mr. Weathers.
Yes, sir. If I'm elected, I will be a full-time Democratic chairman. I'm a multitasker. I have the ability to do many things at one time. I have the energy, I have the desire, and as far as the message, there has to be a change in the message that Democrats are putting out there. We have to readjust that message, and we have to make sure that it touches all New Mexicans. Thank you.
Just a little point on the end of that. A few years ago in the SCC, we passed a resolution to pay our chair, but unfortunately, I guess there wasn't enough funds to do so. So if the next chair can successfully fundraise enough, they will. There is a avenue for them to have a salary. So Melinda Cerna, I see your hand is up. I saw your hand was up earlier, and then I guess it may have gone away, but I definitely want to get your question in, but I want to combine it with the clarification of the question in the chat. So that, and then I'll give 2 minutes, and then that'll be it for everyone. The question in the chat that hadn't been addressed is that red counties are not having Democratic challengers. And as a nerd, I've gone to the Secretary of State's website and I saw tons and tons of races that were unchallenged. And I think that is something as a state party and as a former candidate, it is difficult to run a race that you're not sure you're going to make it. And then I want to dovetail that into Melinda's question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my question is, I believe we need someone who is in touch with young Democrats in New Mexico. How do you plan to engage and connect with young voters, college age people? Because I believe that that is necessary here in our state.
And just a reminder, so how do we engage with young people and how do we put forth Democratic challengers in red districts? I'll give 2 minutes in reverse alphabetical. Mr. Weathers.
It's a sad situation that we have 4 counties that do not have a Democratic Party in them. If I'm elected as Democratic chairman, I will make sure that there is outreach to those counties and make sure that there's a party that's representing. Sometimes even though it's a red and there's a chance that there's not a victory for a Democratic candidate, but it strengthens the entire ticket if you run a Democrat in a red county. It strengthens the ticket from top to bottom. Thank you.
Did you want to address how to
Yes.
reach to the younger votes?
Can I, oh, sorry.
Mr. Weathers, because it was a two-parter question, just want to make sure that.
Okay. Yes. I believe my experience as a workforce chairman working with the youth, that you have to make sure that you're reaching them in the ways that they communicate. And that's the way I would make sure that we use social media, whatever it takes to reach those young voters. But often meeting with them in person also helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Montoya, you have 2 minutes.
That is a good question. I'll start with the youth voters. And thank you, JD, for telling me that you've done a real good job in CD3, because that was my goal. What I do is I attend the county fairs, and they're little. Springer. So that's the county fair for Colfax County. And I walk around and I talk with the kids and I ask them stuff. So then I meet their parents. Then they have older children in college. So I engage with my community, because that's when people know that you care for them. So that must be a must. So I do that already for my CD3. And then let me give you another example. You're talking about red counties. Well, one of my counties is Union County. And when I was there traveling CD3, I talked to her and we talked about why they don't have Democrats is because they're afraid of the mega Republicans and the things that they've done to them. Even when they put a booth out, what they'll do to them. So they're afraid of these people. So that's the issue right there, is that they're afraid of them. So we got to change that. So that means that when they need our help, we're going to go in there in full force and help them, because that's not going to happen no more. I believe in what Kamala Harris says. We're going forward, not back. So I'm going to support them 100%, and I'll even be there.
And did you want to address unopposed red districts?
That was in there. That's why, is
Okay.
because they have mega Republicans, and they're afraid of them. They don't care what they do to them. They'll vandalize, they'll make their life hell. And the thing about it is, that's why you see the numbers aren't really like true up there, because a lot of the Democrats are independent, or they don't declare what their affiliation is. But the thing is that we need to change that. So that fits in. That's why we don't have candidates that want to run as Democrats. And you know what? We've neglected them, and it's been too long. And so I know the answers because I've been there and I've done it. And I can carry the message throughout the state, because I've already got a roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Enriquez, you have 2 minutes.
This is a great question, two-parter. One, I think that we need to be seeking grants from organizations like Contest Every Race, where organizations fundraise and assist the state party and county parties in getting folks to run in those harder to run areas. That will need extended support. So time investment in the communities to show that there are more Democrats than the people are seeing, especially when they're feeling fearful. Secondly, to address the youth, I will say that I have done I've seen this as such an important issue because we currently are not engaging our youth. We need to be reaching them in ways that they understand. But that doesn't mean that we decide what ways they need to be communicated with. We need to be going in and saying, hey guys, show us what's up. Tell us what to do. You guys need to help bring us up to speed in the way of what you care about. I am a current member of the UNM College Democrats because I went in, engaged, and asked questions about their organization. And they told me, and I don't think many people know this, that they can have a percentage of members that are not college students from outside in the community. And so I have been attending their meetings. They speak at our engagements. We have worked with the Young Democrats of New Mexico, and I have brought into this party in important authority ownership roles, young people. Vice chair, 19 years old. Everybody younger than me. I'm 45 years old, and I feel like I'm even old enough, too old to be the person leading that youth charge. Those guys need to be leading the charge, and we need to just get behind them, support them, and give them the resources that they require to feel engaged and to get into this party in a way. They are our future, and we need to really be listening to them.
Thank you. Ms. Adelson, you have 2 minutes.
The R counties, we need to address that. I think there has to be up and down the ballot, the school board, the city commission, every race in every red county must be contested, and reach out to the Contest Every Race organization. Let the R's have gotten off free of charge. They aren't spending any of their money. Let's have them spend money in contested races. Let's make them, they're getting off scot-free, so to speak. So absolutely, that is one thing I'm very, very passionate about. As for the youth, hey, they are the future Dems. And like Marisol said, we have to speak to them. We have to listen to them, see what their concerns are. I have been working, there's a high school National Democratic Club that I've been working with civics and government teachers in our high schools here in Albuquerque to get a Democratic club in each of the high schools. Start young. My treasurer is a 19-year-old UNM sophomore, and I have learned so much from him and his peers about how we can bring them into the party. It is imperative. We have to pass the torch. We have to have them ready in the wings, are ready to lead now. We have a great Jacob Trujillo in Bernalillo County, 24 years old, I believe. Wonderful. Let's keep it up.
Thank you all so much. And thank you all for staying late. I appreciate everyone's answers, everyone's questions. We will have this up on the Adelante website in a few days and on the YouTube channel. Again, like I said earlier, if anyone has any issues with what was discussed, I think the chat on the YouTube channel might be the best place to bring that forward and discuss it civilly, of course. Just some quick closing thoughts. I hope that whoever, for the 3 who do not become chair, I hope you stay active, and I hope you stay on the one that does become chair, because, in my opinion, running for office is only 51% about winning. The other 49% is about bringing the issues you care about to the table and holding the person that won accountable. So thank you all so much. I think we should end it there because we are quite late.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colton.
Could I ask one more quick question? Could I ask one more quick question really quick? It'll take a few seconds. Where are the men? Where are the men? Let's get the men out. You guys get the men out. We need the men to help us. So get the men out. Okay. Thank you.
I'm only one man.
That question, that's the good question. Yes.
We need the men. We
Yes.
need you to help us.
Yes.
I'll try. I'll do my
Thank
best.
you. Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.